All right, here we are, our seventh episode in our Chakra 101 series, where we will talk today all about our seventh energy center, the Crown Chakra, the very last one of this internal energy system from our root, from the base of our spine, all the way up to the top of our head, our crown. All right, and so thank you for enjoying and being part of this with me from day one, from our first episode. And I got an amazing suggestion from a valued viewer, my sister Jennifer. She suggested that I do a final episode where I combine all the techniques to maybe give some daily practices of how we can incorporate balancing all seven chakras in ways that, as Jennifer said, we don't have to wear the colors of the rainbows every day. So I will be working on that, and that will be next week's episode to wrap up our chakra series. So for today, we're going to concentrate on our crown chakra, the seventh energy center. And now to have our crown chakra be in alignment, to be spinning at its full strength. It first of all, I'll explain where it's located. Now imagine you have a crown on. It's right there in the center. I often like to have my clients take, and you're going to just start massaging around the top of your head, and where you actually can feel where your skull bones connected, where they fused after they did that when you were a baby. You're going to feel like a little bump. Mine's right here. That's my crown chakra, people. So go ahead and give your head here a little massage, and you can find your crown chakra right here. And the color is violet. And I mentioned last week, I just love how the interconnectedness of the chakra systems with multidisciplinary ideas, right? So, purple, violet has always been a color of royalty, and that it correlates to our crown chakra. None of this is lost on me. It is all connected. It's not lost on me that it's the seventh chakra, and God rested on the seventh day, as the Bible tells us, right? 7 days of the week complete the week, right? Seven, the number itself, as you'll see with our slides, it means full and completeness, right? So I just love how it's all connected. And this chakra focuses on self knowledge, right? And it's when you're out of balance, there's this element of attachment. So when we do mindfulness, we talk a lot about non-judgment and non-attachment. That is because our goal is to come to a place of self-knowledge and awareness without being attached to that outcome. And so when you are highly attached to outcomes or highly judgmental of situations, and it really means that that crown area is blocked. Your crown center, the crown energy center, has probably some stagnation. You are looking for when we do judgment and attachment, we're looking for blame, and blame is often connected with grief and shame and guilt. And so we can work on these aspects of ourselves to help clear the crown chakra. There's about six basic um, emotions that can help us see where we need to move some energy centers, right? We have anger and fear and hatred, sadness, grief. So anyways, guilt, shame, and grief are things we work on to allow ourselves to have a non-judgmental and a non-attachment viewpoint of our world when we pull back with that openness, that mindfulness, right? So this crown chakra enables us to create and maintain a spiritual connection where we have an awareness of interconnectedness of all things, right? It is being in presence with God, being in presence with our highest self, with the universe, with the divine, right? It means that we are spiritually awakened and we have an awareness of that, right? We go through, I believe, spiritual awakenings a few times in our lives, right? Carl Jung calls it the dark night of the soul. I just spaced on that. Carl Jung calls it the dark night of the soul. And it is actually said somewhere around 37, most people have what's considered a spiritual awakening, a dark night of the soul. And I was blown away to learn that because that is about when perimenopause happens. So, brings me back to my point that everything is connected. We often have another dark night of the soul around 65, 70. And so that is definitely my clientele ranges 35 to 75. Working through these, it also not only is it more effective, right? But it helps with the interconnectedness. We need and want help. We need and want to give help. We need and want to receive help, right? So, our crown chakra, that spiritual connection. So, when we have these imbalances, we are often seeking divine guidance and wisdom. And to receive these insights, intuitive knowledge, divine downloads will only help to foster an inner peace and to strengthen that crown chakra. And now, when we're living with an imbalanced or a closed crown chakra, it is it's really more I look at it more like it's inactive. Like I think that there's always a connection and it's just this inactive energy center, right? And how that presents is that you're just feeling kind of lost and ungrounded. You're having a disconnect spiritually, right? And not only maybe you're feeling disconnected spiritually, but you're actually cynical about it. You may tease people or make fun of people who have a strong spiritual connection. Oh, there they go, talking about God again, right? When you are connected to what you define as your oneness, there is no place for judgment or attachment of things like that, right? So when you find yourself being cynical, making fun of, teasing, downplaying other people's spiritual connection, that really means that you have a block and it's inactive. Yours is inactive, it's unbalanced, right? When you have the opposite, when you have very rigid spiritual beliefs where there is no movement, that is also in a blocked or underactive crown chakra, right? One of my teachers explained it too, that when we are living very materialistically and really in the material world, it is imbalance in our crown chakra. And so we want to look at that. Also, when you have an overwhelming sense of lack of purpose, which often goes hand in hand with these dark nights of the soul, right? Is this lack of purpose, not sure what your purpose is. Did you even fulfill your purpose, right? I believe we have many purposes in our life, and the main purpose is to just be living in one of your purposes, right? And that you can figure out through ways of what is lacking, what is your soul speaking and looking for, right? So when we think of our whole chakra system, the crown helps keep us. It's almost like the roof of a house, right? We keep our crown chakra balanced. The rest are able to stay, dry and protected, and we can care for them, right? So, when we want to activate or balance our crown chakra, a few ways that we can do this are, I'll get into the slides and show you a bit more, but what we can do is do some meditation and prayer, visualizing for this chakra is very important. And when we take and use visualization with prayer and meditation, it is like potent. It's beautiful. Connecting with nature, keeping in mind when we connect with nature, it shows us and reflects our oneness, right? Practicing mindfulness, like I was talking about, when we practice mindfulness, we really are being present in the moment that is happening right now without judgment, without attachment, right? And that is what the crown chakra is all about. And that's why I love teaching mindfulness, because twofold is selfishly, the more I practice and the more I teach, the more I'm able to maintain a healthy balance in my own life, but also to be able to share that and show people how to bring that into their life is so beautiful. It's such a blessing. I love it. So one way that we maintain this crown chakra is through chanting. Lacey's trying to get in. She's coming in to see us. Lacey has the most clear crown chakra of any girl I know. Anyway, so we engage in energetic healing when we keep our crown chakra balanced. So I am going to now share our screen. And here we are, guys. We've made it to the very tippity top here. We are at our crown chakra. We started way down here on our root. We did our sacral, our solar plexus, our heart, our throat, our third eye last week. And today we are at the crown. And next week we'll do an encompassed whole body. All right, and just to remind you, here they are all lined up with their numbers, their symbols. These numbers here are the amount of lotus flowers each symbol has. This would be the affirmation or the mantra used for this chakra. And this is the element. We've gone through earth, water, fire, air, space, light. And today, our crown chakra's element is of thought. All right. So when we think of the crown chakra, we want to think of ego less and self more. And self is capitalized here because it's the big self, right? Depending on if you subscribe to the belief that it's the higher self, your highest self. Is it God? Is it divine? Is it nature? Is it love? Is it the universe? Whatever that is, whatever that big self is for you, find more of that. Be more in that and less in the ego, less in this earthly, our earthly kind of selfish way of living with the ego. So what this is a symbol of, what the 1,000 petals is, the full blossoming of our consciousness, right? Our consciousness is actually what's in control. People think that it's our subconscious mind that controls things. Our subconscious mind is only doing what our conscious mind tells it to do. Our subconscious mind has the highest, purest view, and we can tap into our subconscious mind to actually access that. But our subconscious mind is only going to do and activate what we consciously tell it to do. So that's where it's this full blooming of our consciousness to be consciously like self-actualized almost. We've got this connection to God, the divine, the universe, a knowing that all things are one, a knowing that all things are connected, that nothing happens in a vacuum here. We're all part of the whole. And that's really impactful to know that everything is interconnected. You hear a lot about it now, the invisible thread, right? So I brought back this image from last week to show you guys where the crown chakra is located. And we talked about how you can find that. And if you look, it starts and it hits what we talked about last week as this pineal gland is the master gland of light and darkness. And then it funnels down into all of our glands all of our energy centers come out of this tree that is coming down from the top of our head. And there it is, the top of our head. And as I was mentioning before, number seven for my numerology people, my angel number fans, it means full, complete, 7 days in the week, right? That is, it's so beautiful to me that this just all, it all planned out beautifully, right? Who did this? I don't know. We all know who. So number seven, full and complete, and the oneness, right? Mantra, I understand. It's a knowing, it's a thought of a knowing, right? So we've got the element of thought to seek that self knowledge and that connection to the divine, the knowing, right? So I understand my place in the universe. I am open to being divinely guided. I welcome faith and I release doubt. These are just a sample of affirmations and mantras that you can use when you are looking to activate or clear your crown chakra. And here we go. The colors, we talked about violet, but really the main colors are this deep, deep purple of violet, white, bright white, or a gold, right? So these are the three colors that are associated with this crown chakra. And you'll often hear in meditations and in mindfulness practices, you'll be guided to imagine a white light, right? Imagine that white light coming through your body. That is an activation of your crown chakra, whether it was mentioned or denoted at all. That envisioning a golden light, envisioning a white light entering your body as you breathe, that is activating that seventh chakra of our chakra systems. So when we think of this for foods, this is why we are having coconut and a dragon fruit, white peach, lotus root, mushrooms of all kind, which is so funny to me. Last week we talked about plant medicines, right? So mushrooms, sea salt, Himalayan salt, the being almost like 100% of all the minerals that we need, right? And then ginger, that is a golden white, igniting, fiery sort of um, root, right? So now we look at the planet, and again, like last week, they throw me for a loop. The sun is a star, so it's not quite a planet, but it is the main source for our world, right? So we've got that as our planet for our crown chakra. Crystals. These are some of my favorite crystals. So amethyst, I'm a February baby. My amethyst is my birthstone, so I love amethyst. But labradorite and moonstone are two of my favorite crystals. Before I even knew what properties they had, what they ignited in people. And before I knew it was the crown chakra, those three are my favorites. But we have selenite, fluorite, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous stones. And like we talked about, take a stone that resonates with you. It doesn't even have to be the ones listed. It could be the ones from the solar plexus. But if you attach any of the mantras that we've gone over to it, you attach it, you anchor it to it, it is such a powerful way to bring in clearing and moving through different blocked chakras, right? Because then we have a tangible, a visual, and a memory of that, right? Good ways to use our anchors so that we can help to balance and strengthen these energy centers. If for nothing, it is so empowering to say these phrases, right? And what's more empowering is to use our body to connect with different energy centers. So for yoga poses and stretches for the crown chakra, we have the tree pose. So the tree pose signifies that strength, that we're putting strength in the root and we're pulling it straight up to our crown, and our head is keeping us there in line and balance. So the tree pose is beautiful. And like I've said throughout this whole series, there are modifications for this. I mean, I start with your foot even on the ground. Whoops. Start with this bent leg with your foot on the ground to get some balance. And then slowly keep it up. A nice place to put it is right on your calf muscle. You don't have to go all the way up to your inner thigh. You don't have to do prayer pose. You can put your arms out for balance. You can put one arm out onto the wall to help balance yourself. And the lotus pose, this is the one we had last week. And so if you didn't watch last week's, go back, because there's some, this is the modification picture of this pose. You can do it with your feet up onto your calves. You can do it with your arms open. You can do it with your in a prayer pose, but it's this cross-legged position of a lotus pose, which is one that we can do to focus when we are doing a chakra meditation, when we're doing a crown chakra meditation or a third eye meditation. This is an amazing pose to ignite that. Just like with the third eye poses, we have headstands and inversions for putting activation to that crown chakra. Now, these you can do with standing against the wall, right? You don't have to be holding your body weight up. You can put it against the wall. You can also be using, they have modification tables that you put your shoulders on and your head is able to fall. And this is another modification for this pose. It creates some counterbalance, so you don't feel like you don't have to be as stable in this position. So again, as always, these are not mandatory, nor am I suggesting you do them. They are just there to offer you some guidance if you would like to do some yoga poses. Be careful and always listen to your own body. And we will round out today's episode with a final set of prompts for our crown chakra. And these prompts are really going to allow you to pull back with non-judgment and non-attachment and answer these and contemplate about your answers, and really look at where can I create movement? Where can I bring in some awareness and some acceptance? So what do you believe about the universe, right? And then when you answer this, when you write out or think about what you believe, get curious and question it. Get inquisitive and question why you believe what you're saying you believe, right? Do you have a relationship with your highest self? Now, even if you have a belief in the universe, a belief in God, or a belief in the divine love, is there a version of yourself that you have a relationship with, right? A higher version of yourself, a highest. And what does that look like? If you do, can you improve upon it? And if not, do you want one? There is, like we talked about, no judgment, non-attachment. Do you want to develop a relationship with this highest self that we've talked about for 7 episodes now? What spiritual truths are you aware of, but you don't follow, right? For example, right, like what spiritual truth that is out there, right? So it might be that we are all connected, right? Or it could be that this element of being humble, know better and know worse than anyone else, a spiritual truth, but don't follow or don't subscribe to. And why? Just wondering, right? What do you know for sure? What are some things that you know about yourself for certain? For certain. And I mean, this question is loaded, right? Who am I? Who is Kathy? What is she about, right? Now we're tapping into that oneness, that connectedness. How am I here and doing what, right? How has how has my life led me to this point, right? Who am I? It's a big question. Remember last week I told you, say for you, maybe, right? If I'm like, that's a big question, say, well, maybe for you. Maybe that's an easy question for you. I welcome that. Am I open to perceiving subtle energies and non-physical realities, right? So I've often talked about, I'm gonna end my screen here. I've often talked about our four energetic bodies, right? So we've got our physical, our emotional, our mental, and our spiritual bodies. Are you open to looking at those? Can you perceive them? Can you feel your emotional body? Can you feel your spiritual body, your mental body, right? There's times that there's parts of my physical body I cannot feel. And this is not uncommon. We often work at finding ways to connect to our physical body. Sometimes I can't feel like my lower abdomen. Like I know it's there, right? But like to not be connected on a physical level is a representation of certain types of blocks in energy centers. Sometimes it's activating events or traumatic events, triggering events, however you look at them, right? So can you perceive your subtle energy bodies, and what do you feel about them, right? The crown chakra is um, such an emotional journey to go on because it is that ultimate journey to stop that, right? Where we've made it to this point where we have spiritual connectedness, right? And keep in mind, like we talked about, is that all of these chakras move in and out of balance. That just is, we live in this world, we live in the human plane. But to have a connection to the non-physical while we are on the physical plane is powerful and help you to align all of your chakras. So until next week, when we do our collective final episode, episode number 8 of Chakra 101, where we'll do some fun kind of recipes and fun activities, different ways you can bring chakra work into your daily life. I'm excited. If there's a certain chakra you want to know more about, or if there is a practice that we've gone over in these past few weeks together that you want to know more about, let me know and I'll include it in next week's final episode where we combine all the chakras and just have a chakra party. Sounds good, and I will see you then. Take care.